So, dear students, let us continue our discussion on moving charges and magnetism. In the last session, the discussion was about force experienced by a current carrying conductor due to the external magnetic field, right? And we did obtain an expression for that. What was the expression that we obtained? The vector form of the expression for the force experienced by a current carrying conductor that we obtained is force F is equal to I of L cross B, right? Where F is the amount of force applied on the conductor, I is the current through the conductor, L is the length element of the conductor, B is the external magnetic field in which we have the conductor. So we need to take the cross product. Now, what is the magnitude of magnetic force experienced by a current carrying conductor? It is I L B sin theta, right? What is theta? Theta is the angle between L and B. How do we get the angle between L and B? Say you have a current carrying conductor like this, okay, somewhat like this, and is connected to a battery. Okay. Now, what is the direction of current through this conductor? It is like this, right? So, now I apply external magnetic field on certain part of it, like this. So, this is the external magnetic field that I apply on the conductor. So, now which are the terms which are important for us? I, L, B and theta should be taken out from this to get the force experienced by this part of the conductor, right? So, now what is B? B is the amount of magnetic field that we applied. So, we will be aware of it. It is either given during the problems or we can obtain it when it comes to the practicals. That's fine. B we can obtain. I is also fine. We can easily get it, right? Current through the conductor we can get, no problem. But what is L? L is the length or length element of the entire conductor on which we have applied external magnetic field, which means the magnetic field is applied from this part to this part of the entire conductor, right? So, this is L. This length from here to here is L, okay? We got L, I, L, B, we got it. But what is theta? Theta is the angle between L and B. So, what is L here? L is this. L is not a scalar here, it is a vector quantity, length element, okay? And L has a direction. What is the direction of L? Direction of L is like this. Why it should be taken like this? Because current direction is like this. If the current is flowing like this in the opposite direction upwards, then the angle between L and B will be this much acute angle, some acute angle, right? This time the current is flowing in the opposite direction, which means now I will particularly mention or represent the length element, okay? This is the length element with this direction and this is B. Then what is the angle between L and B now? Angle between L and B is this is theta, right? So, that is what will give me the value of theta, and I will take that, put that into this. Now, special cases of the formula. When is the force experienced by a current carrying conductor due to the external field maximum? F max. Very easy. ILB we do not change, it is only the matter of theta. What should be theta equal to? Theta should be 90 degree, right? When theta equal to 90 degree, force on the conductor is maximum, which is equal to ILB, right? Similar to QVB. Remember that, right? Next, what is the minimum force? The minimum force experienced is 0. When does the force become equal to 0? When theta is equal to 0 or 180 degree, right? When theta is either 0 or 180 degree, we get 0 force acting on the conductor, which means if the length element, okay, if this length element is either parallel or anti-parallel to the magnetic field applied on it, then the conductor will not experience any magnetic force. Okay, these are the special cases of the conductor, the magnetic force experienced by a conductor. Right, now let us move ahead and check out the path of charged particles in the external field. Okay, this is we are going a step backwards and figuring out. Okay, so think of the situation where a charged body is thrown into the magnetic field. Okay, what are the different possibilities? Okay, just making a rough classification. One way, I can throw the body perpendicular to the magnetic field. Okay, say you have the magnetic field like this towards you, and I throw the body exactly perpendicular to it like this. Then what happens? That is the one case. Then what if I throw a body into the magnetic field in such a way that the direction of velocity is parallel to the magnetic field? Now, we have discussed it, but it is not about the force, it is about the path of the body, which is important for us now. Okay, so now the magnetic field is like this and I am throwing the body like this itself. Okay, field is set like this and I will throw the body like this. This is the second case. And the third case, with some angle. So now assume that this is how the magnetic field is, and I throw a body like this or like this. Okay, like this or like this. Not completely perpendicular, not completely parallel, instead with some angle, with some theta. Then what happens? These are the different cases which it's not about what happens, it's about what are the paths in all these three situations. Let me take the situation of parallel case first because it is easy to understand. Okay, when a charged body is moving parallel to the magnetic field, external magnetic field, then what happens is, see, quite easy. Say this is the external magnetic field set, and this is how a charged body enters this field such that the direction of velocity of the charged body is parallel to the external magnetic field. In this kind of situation, the direction of V, right, and the direction of B are same. Angle between them is 0, and which means this charge will not experience any magnetic force, isn't it? Because sine 0 is 0. The magnetic force experienced by a moving charge is given by QVB sine theta, right? Here theta is 0, sine 0 is 0, and hence this charge moving in the external magnetic field parallel to it will not experience any force. Okay, since this positive charge will not experience any force, that will keep on moving in its path continuously without any deflection. Okay, so it will keep on moving in the same path. Okay, so the path of the body is maintained due to since there is no force, external force, there is no magnetic force acting on the charge, it will keep moving in its path, no deflections. Okay, this is one of the case. Now the next case. Right, now the second case, the body is moving perpendicular, okay, to the external magnetic field, or a charge is moving perpendicular to the external magnetic field. Now I'll assume a magnetic field in such a way that it is going into the board. Okay, so I'll like set the magnetic field in the region this way. So this is the direction of magnetic field set here. Okay, so as you know, it is the cross symbol, and hence arrow is going into the board, which is the direction of external magnetic field, all of them. So this entire region is of external magnetic field applied. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll gently push a charge into the field, okay, with certain velocity v. Okay, right. Let me assume the charge at this point. Okay, it has come to this point already. Okay, let me take a positive charge itself, for instance, right, and this charge is moving with certain velocity v, right. So this charged body already had a velocity of v and is experiencing magnetic force because the direction of v is exactly perpendicular to b, because since if it was parallel, no force, it would have kept moving in the same direction, but it is not parallel. See, b is into the board and v is in this direction, and hence the angle is 90° between them. Got it? So the direction of force on this particle is v cross b. Okay, okay, it would be difficult for me if the force acts upwards, so I'll take the direction of velocity to the left of me. Okay, there is a reason, nothing to worry, it's all conceptual. You can also interpret that, but if I take the velocity towards right, the path would go upwards. Okay, I don't have enough space there, that is why. Okay, so the direction of velocity is like this now, and b is into the board. So what is the direction of force that acts on the charged body? It is v cross b. V cross b will give us the direction of force. V, right, v cross b, because b is into the board, right, imagining. So this is v and this is b, so v cross b towards b. So it is v cross b, and hence the force experienced by this positive charge is downwards, right, not downwards, I can't say downwards, it's like this, mutually perpendicular to b and v, like this, right. So now this force will push the body now. Okay, this body already had velocity v. Along with that velocity, now the external force is also applied, right. Now what is the expected path? This is a little familiar situation for you. Okay, see, if I have a piece of chalk in my hand like this, and I leave it, it just simply falls down towards the earth, towards down, right, it goes down. But instead of simply leaving, if I throw it, if the gravitational force is not there, it would go in a straight line, right. But when I throw it, it will be having its velocity, and the earth will also be pulling it down, which means along with the velocity, it will also experience a perpendicular force, projectile, okay, semi-projectile. So then what happens is the path is going to be different, you can observe, right. I threw it like this, but it went like this, right, because earth is pulling it down. In the same way, this charge will move or will take, because this is the original direction of velocity and this is the force experienced. So this is magnetic force, not the gravitational. Okay, so the charge will take a semicircular path like this. Okay, now what happens after one semicircular path traced, which means from this point to this point? So now the charge is here. Okay, all of this is happening in the absence of gravity, you should imagine like so. Okay, or else you should imagine such a platform where gravity is not affecting this motion. Be clear with that. So this is the position of the body, which is again moving with velocity v itself. Okay, and now what is the direction of velocity? At this point, the direction of velocity is like this, right. And what is b? B is into the board itself. And in this particular situation, what is the direction of force acting on it? Right hand thumb rule, right. So it is, see, observe carefully, it's always v cross b, right. B is into the board, v cross b. I should go into the board, so it is v cross b. It's always like this, okay? Even when it was here, it was, I should start from the tail, V cross B. I should turn my four fingers towards the tip of the vector B, okay? V cross B. Vector B will have the tip into the in the board, inside the board, okay? That's how you should imagine. So similarly, it is, look at this, V cross B. Be careful, V cross B. What is the direction of force? Direction of force is like this, right? So this is the direction of force when the charged body is at this point. Now, the body is trying to move in this direction, but the magnetic force is pushing it like this. So due to the original velocity and the magnetic force, once again it will trace a semicircular path and it will reach this point. When the body reaches this point, the direction of velocity is like this, it wants to go like this, but what happens is, this is the direction of velocity, the magnetic force experienced by this is, see, V cross B, the magnetic force pushes it up, okay? V cross B, magnetic force is upwards. So this is V, this is F. When both of them are together, this once again traces a semicircular path like this. Once again, let me take one more point here. This is the direction of velocity. So it is V cross B, and hence the force is like this. Once again it traces a semicircular or 1/4 of the circle path, and hence we have a complete circular path traced by a charged particle when it is thrown into the external magnetic field in such a way that the direction of velocity is perpendicular to the magnetic field. Okay, this is the initial condition. So the body should be thrown into the field in such a way that the direction of velocity or the body starts to move, okay, originally in such a way that it is perpendicular to the magnetic field. If not, then the situation is different and we shall discuss about it now. Clear with this much? Okay. So here V and B are perpendicular, that made the path circular. Okay. So that gives us the clarity that when a body moves perpendicular to the external magnetic field, a charged body moves perpendicular to the external magnetic field. In that situation, it traces a circular path. Okay, it always traces a circular path. Very important concept which is applied to explain cyclotron in the coming classes. Okay, we'll understand all those things, but this is the basic of that. Okay, right. When the body is moving with certain arbitrary angle with the external field, it is neither parallel nor perpendicular, as we discussed in last two cases. When that is the situation, what is the expected path which the body is going to trace? Okay, this requires three-dimensional imagination. Okay, let me try my best to convey you. So assume that again you have magnetic field set like this. Okay, so I should throw the body into it. Just a minute, let me decide the direction of magnetic field. Okay, let me explain the motion with the two different views. One is when the magnetic field is set in such a way that the field lines, the magnetic field is going into the board, and here I have one more way of representing magnetic field where the magnetic field is like this. Okay, not going into or coming out of the board, it is like this. So in this situation now, see, velocity or the motion of the charged body should neither be parallel nor be anti-parallel nor be perpendicular. Okay, parallel means the charge should be thrown like this, right? Because this is the B direction, and this itself should be the V direction. It should be thrown like this. I am not doing that. I have done that. What happens? No change in the direction. Perpendicular means this is B, and hence I should throw V. I should keep the V or throw the body like this. So this is my B and this is my V, and hence it traces circular path. Okay, clear? B, V, perpendicular, traces circular path. Now, instead of keeping it either 90 or 0, I should keep some other angle. Like, this is what is the direction of magnetic field. Okay, try to imagine. And I should throw the body with certain arbitrary angle with it. Somewhat like this. Okay, now there exists certain angle which is neither perpendicular. Okay, if I throw it like this, it becomes perpendicular, right? I am not doing it, and nor parallel. If I throw it like this, it will become parallel, but I'll throw it with certain angle like this. Okay, just a minute. So this is perpendicular, this is parallel. Now I should throw the body into the field like this. Clear? It should go like this. So the direction of velocity is difficult to represent here. Okay, again it is like this. So I'll take this approach here. Okay. So here, how do we keep the perpendicular one? Okay, perpendicular motion is like this. Then what happens? Okay, this entire region is filled with is of magnetic field. Okay, so when I throw it perpendicular, okay, then it will trace a circular path, right, like into the board. This is how it will trace the circular path, right? Now I'll throw it with certain arbitrary angle, okay, like this. Okay, clear? So this is how the charge enters the external magnetic field. Now what happens? This is the direction of velocity and this is the direction of magnetic field. So look for V cross B. V cross B is into the board. So the force acts into the board, okay, which means the magnetic force pushes the charge into the board like this, and hence if you assume the charge is here, the charge along with its initial velocity, which was expected to go like this in the absence of external field, right? If the field was not there, it would have went like this. Since the magnetic force pushes it continuously from the path perpendicular to it like this, so now the path changes from this to like this, right? Because this was the path, okay, right? Okay, V is this. So here, this was the path, right? Yeah. So this was the expected path like this, but it continuously pushes it into the board. So instead of this path, this time with continuous push, it goes like this, and at this point the force becomes opposite, and it comes back, goes like this. Okay, let me give you the clarity in pictorially here. Let me try my best. Okay, so this is the position where the force is always into the board. Okay, so it goes into the board, the body tries to move into the board like this, but its direction of velocity is not exactly perpendicular, so that it makes triangular, completely circular one. Since it also has the horizontal component, so it will go like this and come back, okay, and then it will go like this, come back. So if you want to, let me draw it pictorially. So this is how the path of the body would be, okay, like this, because this has both horizontal and vertical components. The vertical component of the velocity will help the body to trace circular, okay. Perpendicularly, if you view the object like this, the motion of the body like this, it is circular, nothing else, right, like this. But if you view it like this, it is helical, right? Why is it so? The perpendicular component of the velocity is helping for the circular trace, so that it comes back in the path, and the horizontal component of the velocity is helping the body to move horizontally at the same time. Following? Bit difficult to imagine, but you have to imagine, okay? Then only you can get the clarity. So, or else memorize it, okay? It's a simple point, there is no much math on it. So, when the body moves with certain arbitrary angle with the external magnetic field, the path traced by the body is helical path. Okay? 3 cases. First, parallel, there no change in the path, it keeps on moving in the straight line of original direction. Second case, when the body enters the field with perpendicular to it, then it traces circular path. When the same body enters the field with certain arbitrary angle, then the charged body will take helical path. Okay, so if I take this, if I throw the body like this, okay, like this, then the body's velocity is like this, right? And this is what is, the body is thrown like this, right? Like this, and this is B into the board. So V cross B, so force would be downwards. So then what happens if I throw it like this? So it would experience the magnetic force, come back, and then again magnetic force keeps it in circular path and keeps on, but since it also had a velocity in this direction as the component, it will come towards you. Okay, if I throw it like this, it will start to come like this towards you. Okay, so helical path with certain if it is with certain arbitrary angle. So now let us look into the mathematical details of the second and the third case. Okay, let us take the second case first, then come back to the third case. So this is an important derivation. Now we are going to take the, see, I just represented the circular path traced by the body when the body is thrown perpendicular to the magnetic field, right? Now if the path is circular, that circle should have a radius, right? So now we are going to get the expression for radius of the circle traced by a charged body thrown perpendicular to the external field. Okay, so the derivation is about radius of circular path of a charged body in external magnetic field. Right. So what was the situation? Let me redraw the situation. Okay, let me take the magnetic field which is coming out of the board this time. Okay, like this. Right, out of the board. And now if I throw a positive charged body with velocity v, then it traces the circular path like this, right? And this path has a radius. Let r be the radius. Now see, if you compare this situation with the motion of a body, an object tied to a thread and is rotated, it is somewhat like the same situation. When a body is or an object is tied to a thread and is rotated, okay, there the body will have constant velocity, okay, assuming that it is uniform. Okay, the body will have constant speed, sorry, not velocity, because the direction would change. So the body will have constant speed in its motion. But in order to keep the body in the circular path, we must have a force which acts as the centripetal force. Just a minute. So, as I say, whenever a body is in circular path, it requires centripetal force to keep the body in circular path, right? And when it is about the thread tied to an object and rotated, it's the tension in the thread which will provide the necessary centripetal force. And in this situation, which is the force which is providing the necessary centripetal force? Look at that, the force which is always towards the center. If the body is like this, it is the magnetic force is like this. Try to imagine. See, V cross B. Out of the board now. So it is V cross B, because B is out of the board this time. V cross B downwards. Again, V. Okay. Out. Just a minute. So, yeah, out of the board. This is the direction of velocity, right? V, like this, okay? Just a minute. Yeah, sorry, the path that I took is like this, right? So that this is not the direction of velocity. The second position that I should take is here, and the direction of velocity is like this. So it is, let me explain, V cross B, right? B is out of the board, so V cross B, and it is again towards the center, the force. And even at this point, the magnetic force is towards the center, So magnetic force is the force which is responsible for keeping the body in circular path, isn't it? So in this situation, the necessary centripetal force for the circular motion is provided by the magnetic force, right? Okay, now, which means that centripetal force for this circular motion should be equal to the magnetic force acting on the charge. Clear? And that is the same why that is the physical reason why the work done by the magnetic force is 0 now. Okay, because see, the magnetic force is neither increasing the velocity of the body nor decreasing the velocity of the body. The speed of the body remains the same. Okay, it is the same speed which remains at all the points, which is the speed of speed with which the body enters. The same speed is maintained, but the path is changed, which is similar to work done by the tension force in the thread, right? That is not doing any work. It is just keeping the tension force on the body. It's simply keeping the body in the path, but it's not doing any work. If it has done any work, its speed should have been increased, right? Now this is not the situation. So where the speed is increasing, so work done by a magnetic force is always 0. This is the physical reason you can interpret it. Okay, right. So now what is the expression for centripetal force? Expression for centripetal force is mv squared by r. What is m? M is the mass of the charged body moving here. V is the speed with which the charged body enters, and the same speed is maintained in the circular path. R is the radius of the circular path, is equal to the magnetic force. What is the magnetic force acting on the body? See, since the path is circular, it is understood that the body should be thrown perpendicular, right? Which means theta is 90 degree. When theta is 90 degree, the magnetic force acting on it should be, general expression for magnetic force, the magnitude of magnetic force is F is equal to QVB sin theta. Theta is 90 and hence it is simply QVB left. So QVB, where since theta is equal to 90 degree, it is simply QVB left, okay, sin 91. So in this part of the expression, Q is the charge on the body, okay, V is the speed of the body in the circular path and the entering speed, B is the amount of magnetic field in which the body is moving. Clear? Okay, so now these two must be equal in order to keep the body in circular path, and what we are interested in is this value r. That's it, the expression is done, very simple. So one of the v gets cancelled, r goes there and becomes equal to mv by qb. So the expression for radius of the circular path is given by mv by qb. Look at this, why do we need this expression? We need the expression to interpret if we make a charge move. This expression is important because if we make a charged body take a circular path like this, these factors m, v, q and b will decide how big the circular path or how small the circular path will be, right? Because radius decides the size of the circle or size of the circular path. So according to this expression, we can interpret that more the mass of the body, more the radius, right? And more the velocity of the body, more the radius. More the charge of the body, lesser the radius. So if I throw a more charged body, a charge with if I throw a body with more charge, that is expected to rotate in a circular path of lesser radius. It would take a lesser radius, it would take a circular path of lesser radius. Similarly, if the magnetic field is too strong, even then the radius would be lesser. Okay, so that is how we can interpret the radius and get the expression for the radius of the circular path by the charged body. Okay, this is one important derivation, getting the expression for r. Now for the same situation, we are going to derive the expression for angular frequency of the circular path. Okay, you should remember the basics. Angular frequency. Do you remember the symbol that we put for angular frequency? The symbol that we made use for angular frequency in the in last year is omega, right? Remember that omega is the symbol that we made use for angular frequency. Now we should get the expression for omega. Okay, before we go for omega, we should work on time period of motion. Okay, what is time period? Time taken by this charged body to complete one circular path for this motion is the time period of this motion, this circular path, right? So let us work on that. We'll get time period and then we can work on frequency, and omega is equal to 2 pi nu or 2 pi f, okay, or 2 pi by t is also fine. So first we must get the time period of motion, this circular motion, right? So time period is the time taken for one complete revolution, right? So t is equal to, now look at this, in one revolution the okay, in one revolution, what is the total distance covered by the body? Okay, in one revolution, the charged body covers a distance of 2 pi r, right? So t is the time taken. Okay, 2 pi r is the total distance covered, and v is the speed. V is the speed with which the body is moving. Okay, because this expression for speed, we all know expression for speed is distance by time, right? Distance by time is the expression for speed. So now time is distance by velocity. So time is time period because it is for one revolution. Distance for one revolution is 2 pi r. Speed with which the body is moving for one revolution, for 10 revolution, whatever it is v, right? Now what is r? We have already derived the expression for r. The expression for r is mv by qb, right? So 2 pi by v I will keep separate. In place of r I will write mv by qb, right? So v and v cancels, and hence the expression for time period is 2 pi m by qb. Okay, this is the expression for time period of the body which is undergoing circular motion, a charged body undergoing circular motion in the external field. Clear? So, but this is not the final result that we want, okay? Because we need the angular frequency or angular velocity, both are fine, okay? And let me take the expression for frequency also. Frequency is represented by either nu or f. Let me take nu. The frequency nu is 1 by t, which is equal to 1 over t is qb by 2 pi m, right? So this is the expression for frequency. All of these expressions are important, but you concentrate on time period or frequency. Remember one of that would be fine for problems. Now, what is omega? Remember the expression of omega? 2 pi nu, right? So omega is equal to 2 pi into what is nu? Nu is qb by 2 pi m, right? 2 pi and 2 pi cancels. What we are left with is omega is equal to 2 pi got cancelled. It's simply qb by m. Is it so? Nu is qb by 2 pi m. So 2 pi nu is the frequency. That's it. So omega is equal to qb by m. Now look at this expression. This expression does not have the value of v, the speed, neither the value of speed nor the value of r, the radius with which the body moves, which means the angular frequency of the body is independent of radius and independent of speed of the body. Okay, it doesn't matter how large the radius or how small the radius is, the angular frequency would be same provided that charge, magnetic field and mass remains the same. Okay, so coming to this, if charge is more angular frequency. If the magnetic field is more angular frequency. If mass of the object is more, lesser angular frequency. Okay. So these are the three factors which will decide angular frequency. What is angular frequency actually? Angular frequency is the number of revolutions that the body makes in 1 second, right? That is what is angular frequency, number of revolutions that the body makes in 1 second. So this expression is important as of the derivation is concerned. Okay. Right. So this was the mathematical part of second special case, circular path. There is a simple mathematical part involved with the third special case, where the body moves in helical path when the body is projected or thrown with certain arbitrary angle, right? So the new term that comes in here is pitch of helix. Okay, pitch of helix. So since the path of the body is helical, when you throw the body into the magnetic field with certain angle, it would make this kind of motion, right? This is helical path and the shape is called helix. So now pitch of helix is the linear distance covered. Okay, linear distance covered when the body completes one circular motion. Okay, look at this. When the body starts its motion from this point and comes back to this point, for us it is somewhat like a complex motion. For someone who is viewing the motion like this, he would feel that it has completed a circle. Just try to imagine this. See, look at my finger. Now what I'll do is I'll trace a circle, right? circle is complete, right? Now if I trace helix, okay, the helix means I'll go back like this. See, I'm going back, or I can come forward. That is helix. And now I'll go back along with tracing the circle. For you, it would look like a circle itself, but the actual motion is helix, right? So I'll start the motion now. Okay. So in this situation, I actually moved this much of distance from here to here. Okay. So this is the linear distance covered when the body completed one circular path in the perpendicular component. Okay, like this. Clear? So that linear distance covered by the body in the helical path for one complete rotation is called pitch of helix. This pitch of helix is represented by the symbol capital P here. Okay, this is the linear distance traveled. Okay, now let me take the expression for this. Since it is one circular path completed, pitch of helix is given by distance traveled is what pitch of helix in the linear direction, which is equal to velocity into time taken, right? What is the nature of velocity here? The horizontal component of velocity shall be considered, right? So say this is the velocity, and this has perpendicular and horizontal components. So here the horizontal component of the velocity shall be considered, which I can put as Vh, or even as the standard symbol Vp. Okay, Vp or Vh is fine. Let me take Vp as similar to what we have in the book. And t is the time period for one complete rotation or one complete revolution from here to here, which is the time period of motion, isn't it? The time period of circular path. So now the P becomes equal to Vp into what is the expression for T that we obtained just now using the derivation. The expression for T that we obtained is 2 pi m by qb, right? 2 pi m by qb. That's it. So this is the expression for pitch of helix, which is given by 2 pi m by qb into Vp, where Vp is the horizontal component of velocity. Okay, not regularly asked in boards, but and even the problems also. But keep this in mind. Very easy, nothing much complex in it. Okay, Vp is the horizontal component of the body. And rest is mass of the body, charge of the body, magnetic field in which the body is thrown. Clear? Right. So that is about pitch of helix. The third part's mathematics, little math part. Okay.